Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva. Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna Matajis.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Jyoti Mataji is just logging in now. She's going to share the verses on the screen. And then after that, Mataji will make an announcement. She'll announce who the reciters are today. So please bear with her, okay? And we'll start at sharp 7:45, another 2 minutes to go. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Jyoti Mataji, are you able to make the announcement? Okay. Hare Krishna, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So today's reciters are Pramila Mataji in English and Harsha Mataji in Sanskrit, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 32, verses 1 to 15. Harsha Mataji, when you're ready, could you please start with the Om Namo Bhagavate invocation 3 times, please? Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna.
Let me ask Jyoti Mataji to scroll up. Okay, there we are. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I'm reading text, 1 to, is it 12 to 15?
Well, we're reading 1 to 15 today.
Oh, 1 to 15. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Mataji, where is the screen share? I can't see.
It's showing on the screen right now.
I can't see it.
Oh.
Oh, now I can see, yes.
All right, thank you.
I think you need to enlarge it. Text 1. Kapila Vacha Athayo Graha Medhyayan Dharma Eva Tuti bhuya pipatitan.
The personality of Godhead said, the person who lives in the center of household life derives material benefits by performing religious rituals, and thereby he fulfills his desire for economic development and sense gratification. Again and again he acts the same way.
Tachapi bhagavatarmadhamamutta paranmukha yajate kratubi devan pitram cha shadayan vitaha.
Such persons are ever bereft of devotional service due to being too attached to sense gratification. And therefore, although they perform various kinds of sacrifices and take great vows to satisfy the demigods and forefathers, they are not interested in Krishna consciousness devotional service.
Text 3. Takshat Shraddayakrantamati Petradeva Vrata Puman Tatva Chandramasam Lokam Soma Papu Nareshyati.
Such materialistic persons attracted by sense gratification and devoted to the forefathers and demigods can be elevated to the moon where they drink an extract of soma plant. They again return to this planet.
Text 4. Yada Chahindra Sayayam Setenanta Sanohari Tada Lokalayam Yanti Ta Eta Grahamedinam.
All the planets of the materialistic persons, including all the heavenly planets such as the moon, are vanquished when the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, goes to his bed of serpents, which is known as Ananta Sesa.
Text 5. Ye swadharmana duyanti Dhirakama tahetava Dihasanga nayashtakarmana Prashanta sutta chetasa.
Those who are intelligent are of purified consciousness, are completely satisfied in Krishna consciousness. Freed from the modes of material nature, they do not act for sense gratification. Rather, since they are situated in their own occupational duties, they act as one is expected to act.
Text 6. Nivriti dharma nirata nirmama nirahankritaha Swadharma tena satvena parisudena chetasa.
By executing one's occupational duties, acting with detachment and without a sense of proprietorship or false egoism, one is posted in one's constitutional position by dint of complete purification of consciousness, and by thus executing so-called material duties, he can easily enter into the kingdom of God.
Text 7. Suryadvidvarena te yanti purusham veshvato mukham paraviresham prakritam ashyapati antabhavanam.
Through the path of illumination, such liberated person approach the complete personality of Godhead, who is the proprietor of the material and spiritual worlds and is the supreme cause of their manifestation and dissolution.
Text 8. Dviparadvavasaneya pralayo brahmanastute tvad adhyashyate lokam parasya parachintaka.
Worshippers of the Hiranyagarbha expansion of the personality of Godhead remain within the material world until the end of two parathas when Lord Brahma also dies.
Text 9. Shamambo nilannidaviyan mana indriyatha bhutadibhiparikritam pratishtan ishuksuha avyakritam vishatiyahani guna trayatma kalam parakyam anubhuya para swayambhuva.
After experiencing the inhabitable time of the three modes of material nature known as two parardhas, Lord Brahma closes the material universe, which is covered by layers of earth, water, air, fire, ether, mind, ego, etc., and goes back to Godhead.
10. एवं परत्य भगवन्तमनुप्रविष्टा ये योगिनो चेतमरुन्मनुष्यो विरग्रा तेनैव सखम् अमृतं पुरुषं पुराणं ब्रह्मा प्रदानम् उपयन्ति अगत्यभिमना.
The yogis who become detached from the material world by practice of breathing exercises and control of the mind reach the planet of Brahma, which is far, far away. After giving up their bodies, they enter into the body of Lord Brahma, and therefore, when Brahma is liberated and goes to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Supreme Brahman, such yogis can also enter into the kingdom of God.
Text 11. अथातं सर्वभूतानां हृत्पदनेषु कृतप्रयं शुद्धनभवं शरणं व्रजाभावेन भामिनी.
Therefore, my dear mother, by devotional service, take direct shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is seated in everyone's heart.
Text 12 to 15. आद्यस्तिरचरणं यो वेदगर्भसरासिभि युगेश्वरे कुमारद्ये सिद्धयोगे प्रवर्तके वेददृष्ट्याभिमानेन निसङ्गेनापि कर्मणा कतत्वत्सगुणं ब्रह्मा पुरुषं पुरुषर्षभम् संस्त्रय पुनः काले कालिनेश्वरमूर्तिना जगज्जते गुणा व्यक्तिकरे यथा पूर्वं प्रजयते ऐश्वर्यं परं नित्यं च तेऽपि धर्मा विनर्मितं निःश्वेय पुनरयन्ति गुणव्यक्तिकरे सति. Hare Krishna.
My dear mother, someone may worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead with a special self interest, but even demigods such as Lord Brahma, great sages such as Sanat Kumar, and great munis such as Marichi have to come back to the material world again at the time of creation, when the interaction of the three modes of material nature begins. Brahma, who is the creator of this cosmic manifestation and who is full of Vedic knowledge, and the great sages who are the authors of the spiritual path and the yoga system, come back under the influence of the time factor. They are liberated by their non fruitative activities and attain the first incarnation of the Purusha, but at the time of creation, they come back in exactly the same forms and positions they previously had. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Pramila Mataji, Harsha Mataji. Thank you for your wonderful recitation. And Hare Krishna to all the devotees who joined today. I was also in one of the other classes, and one of the things I was reminded is on the 7th of August was the incorporation of ISKCON in New York many years ago. And this is again an opportunity for us to really be very thankful to Srila Prabhupada and for this opportunity to really come together. So that makes this particular moment even more special. So let's close our eyes and we'll do the invocation prayer and then the Mangalacharan. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपीशा गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त कंचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नम ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिधि नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पश्यता देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। Hare Krishna, everyone. Once again, so we're going to be continuing with chapter 32, and that's going to be verses 12 to 17. So we've got 6 verses today, and it's good to always do a recap of where we are. So in chapter 32, which is the penultimate chapter of this canto, Lord Kapila speaks about about entanglement of living entities and fruitive activities. So, and we understand a lot about how we lead our lives today. And the first few verses, he speaks about those who are in the center of household life, or a materialist, and they are. And then he speaks about persons who are bereft of devotional service, and what do they really do, and which is really attach themselves to sense gratification. And what they also do is they perform a lot of sacrifices to demigods, and they worship them, and that like does not really liberate them. And we will touch upon why in today's verses. Then so Lord Kapila continues to speak about the materialist persons, and what is their destination. So and even if you do go into the holy planet, they would be going to heavenly planets like the moon. And if you do go to the heavenly planets like the moon, you still have you're not you still can come down, you can still fall down. And then from text 6 onwards, Lord Kapila speaks about when you do your duties with detachment, and while staying in this particular material world, and without a sense that you own things. This is not my house, this is not my my relationship, etc. That's when you are in a position where you are truly performing devotional service to the Lord. And that's when Lord Kapila says you can enter the kingdom of God. And then he continues with that path of elimination about the liberated persons. And he continues with that. And in the end, we come to 11, text 11. So after he has explained all of that, what he says is that, of course, the yogis can come into the kingdom of God. However, we also do know that to get mystic powers like the yogis, we have to perform a lot of penances. That includes going to the forest and performing severe austerities, which is not really practical in this particular world. So in today's world, and Kali Yuga, what is most practical is Krishna Prema. And in text 11, Lord Kapila says, "Therefore, my dear mother, by devotional service, take direct shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead who's seated in everyone's heart." So you don't have to go through all those years and thousands of years of austerities and going to forest, etc. You can stay in this world, stay in a grihast ashram, stay in grihast, do your duties with detachment, and you do your duties without full sense of sense gratification. So that's where we are now. So we're going to continue to understand, explore a little bit more about what it means to worship the demigods, and why do we worship them, and what are some of the consequences. And we will also hear today what Lord Kapila says about who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and how and where Brahma and Shiva derive their energy from, and what they can do and what they cannot do, which becomes quite important, especially in Hindu culture in India, where we all are. At least I was born. With saying that there are three entities, the Trimurti, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, and no one told me till many years later that they are not this. I mean, they are not equal, and we'll hear a little bit more about that in these verses. So let me start sharing my screen. So hopefully you're able to see that. So what I'll do is I'll read the Sanskrit, and I'll invite you to read the translation of the Bhagavad. So text 12 to 15. आद्यस्तिरचराणां यो वेदगर्भसहर्षिभिः योगेश्वरैकुमाराद्यै सिद्ध्यैर्योगप्रवर्तकै वेददृष्टया भीमानेन निसङ्गेनापि कर्मणा कर्तृत्वात् सगुणं ब्रह्म पुरुषं पुरुषर्षभम् ससंसृत्य पुनः काले काले नेश्वरमूर्तिना जाते गुणव्यतिकरे यथा पूर्वं प्रजायते ऐश्वर्यं पारमेष्ट्यं च तेऽपि धर्मविनिर्मितं निवेश्य पुनरायान्ति गुणव्यतिकरे सति. So this is text 12 to 15. So could I have one devotee reading the translation and maybe another devotee to read the purport because it's slightly long.
Can I do, Prabhuji, one of them? Any one of them thing?
Yeah, no problem. So Prabhuji, and I know you could do that. Yeah, one of you could read the translation, one of you could read the purport.
My dear mother, Hare Krishna, my dear mother, someone may worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead with a special self interest. But even demigods such as Lord Brahma, great sages such as Sanat Kumar, and great munis such as Marichi have to come back to the material world again at the time of creation. When the interaction of three modes of material nature begins, Brahma, who is the creator of this cosmic manifestation and is full of Vedic knowledge, and the great sages, who are the authors of the spiritual path and the yoga system, come back under the influence of the time factor. They are liberated by their non-fruitive activities and attain the first incarnation of the Purusha. But at the time of creation, they come back in exactly the same form and positions they previously had. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. That Brahma becomes liberated is known to everyone, but he cannot liberate his devotees. Demigods like Brahma and Lord Shiva cannot give liberation to any living entity. As it is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, only one who surrenders onto Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, can be liberated from the clutches of Maya. Brahma is called here Adya, Sthira, Charanam. He is the original, first created living entity, and after his own birth, he creates the entire cosmic manifestation. He was fully instructed in the matter of creation by the Supreme Lord. Here, he is called Veda Garbha, which means that he knows the complete purpose of the Vedas. He is always accompanied by such great personalities as Marichi, Kashyapa, and the seven sages, as well as by great mystic yogis, the Kumaras, and many other spiritually advanced living entities. But he has his own interests, separate from the Lord's. Bheda Drishta means that Brahma sometimes thinks that he is independent of the Supreme Lord, or he thinks of himself as one of the three equally independent incarnations. Brahma is entrusted with creation, Vishnu maintains, and Rudra, Lord Shiva, destroys. The three of them are understood to be incarnations of the Supreme Lord in charge of the three different material modes of nature, but none of them is independent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Here, the word Bheda Drishta occurs because Brahma has a slight inclination to think that he is as independent as Rudra. Sometimes Brahma thinks that he is independent of the Supreme Lord, and the worshipper also thinks that Brahma is independent. For this reason, after the destruction of this material world, when there is again creation by the interaction of the material modes of nature, Brahma comes back. Although Brahma reaches the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the first Purusha incarnation, Mahavishnu, who is full with transcendental qualities, he cannot stay in the spiritual world. The specific significance of his coming back may be noted. Brahma and the great rishis and the great master of yoga, Shiva, are not ordinary living entities. They are very powerful and have all the perfections of mystic yoga. But still, they have an inclination to try to become one with the Supreme, and therefore they have to come back. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is accepted that as long as one thinks that he is equal with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is not completely purified or knowledgeable. In spite of going up to the first Purusha Avatara, Mahavishnu, after the dissolution of this material creation, such personalities again fall down or come back to the material creation. It is a great fall down on the part of the impersonalist to think that the Supreme Lord appears within a material body and that one should therefore not meditate upon the form of the Supreme, but should meditate instead on the formless. For this particular mistake, even the great mystic yogis or great stalwart transcendentalists also come back again when there is creation. All living entities other than the impersonalists and monaists can directly take to the devotional service in full Krishna consciousness and become liberated by developing transcendental loving service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such devotional service develops in the degrees of thinking of Supreme Lord as Master, as a friend, as Son, and at last as Lover. These distinctions in transcendental variegatedness must always be present. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Mataji. So thanks for your wonderful recitation. So this is there are two very important things that that's important to note here. One is what is really the um, um, why does Brahma and Shiva come back into this material world? So that's important for us to know. And also, secondly, what are some of the limitations of Brahma and Shiva's potency? So and this will clash with some of what I had mentioned earlier about what we have grown up as, because we always see as Trimurti as being all the three being equal, and here in this particular passage, in this particular verse, we clearly know that that's not true. And also there is the aspect of the time factor, which we will unpack a little bit more today. So um, and it also goes on to say how even great demigods also are so caught up in this in the grip of Maya, that even they sometimes think that they are independent of the Lord. So and if Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva feels that way, then then how can we do it? So that is an answer to that as well, and we will unpack that as we go along. So, so in this passage, in this verse, what Lord Kapila says is that even demigods and some of the great sages have to come back into this material world. So, and we think that like once Brahma has completed all his instructions, and he is the greatest living entity in the world. I mean, in this material universe. So clearly, it'll be his time to go to the spiritual world, and then he doesn't have to come back. He's liberated. But that's not the case. They always do have to come back, and that's because of this interaction of the three modes of material nature that begins. So Brahma, who's the creator and a creator of this cosmic manifestation, and it's worth reflecting on how Brahma came about. So earlier in this particular canto, in chapter 8 or thereabouts, we see how the how Brahma comes into existence. So he comes seated in the lotus, from the navel of the Garbhoday Kashai Vishnu, and when he comes, he is in this lotus world, and he does not really understand anything at all. In fact, he sees everything as darkness. He can't comprehend what's going on. And then he thinks that because he's on a stem, there must be a root somewhere. And what he does is he then goes down the stem of the lotus, And then he keeps going down, and then he doesn't really discover any, he doesn't really find any roots per se. So then that, he gets even more confused. And that's when there is a realization that comes that it's important for him to meditate. And it's only when he goes quiet and when he meditates on the Lord for 1,000 years, that's when he gets his instructions. And once he gets his instructions, then he is able to make more sense of this particular material world. And then he goes about, like following the instructions, which is to create the universe. So while Brahma does that, who's the creator of this cosmic manifestation, and the Lord has imparted him with all the knowledge, which is Vedic knowledge. However, even they cannot escape the influence of time, because Brahma is still, we're still talking of the 25% material universe. We are not talking of the 75% spiritual universe, Goloka Vrindavan. So he may be the greatest, and the first living entity, but he's still under the influence of time. And they could be liberated from the, by the non-fruitive activities, like during the, during their lifetime here. However, at the time of creation, they still come back in the same way as they previously had. So now this is an important one. So Prabhupada begins this with a very important a declaration that Brahma becomes liberated is known to everyone, but he cannot liberate his devotees. And there are many of us who are materialists who propitiate and do a lot of offerings to demigods, as we have seen in some of the previous passages as well. And that can give you material happiness, but it cannot give you spiritual happiness, and it cannot give you liberation to living entity. It's only the Supreme Personality of Godhead who has got the power to do that. No one else can. And and here there are some descriptions, which would be worth unpacking a little bit. So Adya Sthira Charanam. And so he's the original self, first created living entity. However, and we saw his birth as how it happens. We also recently saw how we are born as individual souls, and we see that the process just before the birth is where, and even when you come into this particular world, is very, very chaotic. It's very traumatic. It's very difficult. And then we try to then we forget everything, and then we try to make sense of the world, and completely forgetting what about whom we came from in the first place. So Veda Garbha. So Brahma, when he connects with the Lord, he also gets that Vedic knowledge, and then through that, they become very they have lots of mystic powers. They're able to grant a lot of boons. They're able to give a lot of blessings. However, what they cannot give you is celebration from this world, because that is something which they don't really have the authority to do it. And this is interesting. So while we do have uh, this is something that's important to be aware of. So while Brahma is fully instructed and he creates the entire universe, but he has his own interest in mind. And sometimes, Brahma thinks that he's independent of the Supreme Lord. And we have seen, and he thinks of himself as one of the three equally independent. So Brahma, Mahavishnu, and Shiva are all at the same level, and that's what Brahma thinks. And because he has not fully surrendered himself to the Lord, that's why he comes back again. So we see a couple of examples of like Brahman, how Brahmaji, and how he sometimes get deluded by nature, by Maya. So the one of it, we are going to see in Canto 10, where he is watching Krishna eat, the cowherd boy eat lunch with his cowherd friends, and happily, like any ordinary boy would do. And then he can't. Brahma is very confused, and they say, "How can he kill Agasura, this little boy?" And then he wants to test Krishna, and the way he does is that. The cows like go away, and then Krishna goes to follow them, and then and then Brahma steals the cows and then takes them to a cave, and then puts them in a sleep and like mystic sleep, and then when Krishna comes back, he sees that even the cowherd boys are gone, and and then he knows what Brahma has done, and Brahma is also his devotee, so he wants to respect both, keep Brahma's like put his credibility as well, and also and also to protect the cowherd boys and the girl and the cows. And so he takes multiple he exactly replicates himself, he as the cowherd boy and as the cows, in exactly the same unique personalities. And then they all go back, they are all forms of Krishna. So for an entire year, the parents, they do not even know the difference, and they feel that their love for Krishna has become for their child has become multifold, because they are worshiping Krishna, they are loving Krishna. And then as we know, when this happens, then Brahmaji knows who really Krishna is, and then he surrenders himself, and he offers some beautiful prayers. So that's one example of where, although Brahma is a very exalted personality and is a great devotee, but then he has his own interests at times, and that's what makes him come back to this particular earth. So and you also see, this is the term that is used here, Beda Drishtya, which means that Brahma has a slight inclination that he's independent, and that's what brings him back again and again. And as we see here, anyone who's got an inclination to try to become. So there is also the aspect that Prabhupada mentions in the purport here, which is around impersonalist, or those who believe in the formless God. So if you have an inclination to become one with the Supreme, what you really are trying to do is, you're thinking the God is formless, and it's just the effulgent Brahman. And what that really means is that they're not fully, completely purified or knowledgeable. So they may still be a transcendentalist, and they may have some of the most they may have some of the most powerful powers, mystical powers, but then because they're not purified and because they're not knowledgeable, so they would all come back again and again. So and when someone like a Brahma or Shiva comes back, then what is it for people like us? And that's something for us to like think about. And we do have some answers coming in the following passages. And towards the end, what Prabhupada also mentions is that the way in today's world, we can't, as I mentioned, you can't really go to the forest and do penances and get those mystic powers. And even if you're a great stalwart transcendentalist, you're still going to come back again and again. So the only way that you become completely liberated is when you offer yourself completely to the Lord, and that's through bhakti. And bhakti again is not a mood. It's an active love. And if you love someone, then you serve them. So and the highest form of love will be the high. So when you serve Krishna, when you serve Srimati Radharani, then that becomes your highest form of love. And with that love, with that Krishna prema, you become liberated. And here Prabhupada also mentions about the various rasas in which we have a relationship with the Lord. So whether it's a master as a friend, and the highest form of like of rasa is obviously gopi, is the love of Srimati Radharani, and as a lover. So these are some of the distinctive things, and going on to say that it's not the spiritual world is not boring. It's very varied. So the devotional service, can come in the form of whatever mood in which you want to serve the Lord. It can come in the form of whatever things you want to do to serve the Lord, and even in ISKCON, in Krishna consciousness, that Prabhupada has given us so many opportunities for us to do service in multiple ways, whether it's preaching, whether it's cooking, whether it's cutting vegetables, whether it's taking care of the cows in the Goshala, whether it's farming, whether it's a book distribution. There are so many ways, and with each of these, we form our own very special relationship with Krishna, and so that's what protects you, and that's what prepares you for liberation once you come to that stage, because it puts you on a platform that allows you to stop thinking about sense gratification and think more about what can I do to please Krishna. So that in essence is 12 to 15. And let's move on to text 16. Ye tviha satta manasah karmasu shraddhayanvita kurvantya pratishiddhani nityapyat nityanyapi cha kritsnashah. So could I have a volunteer devotee for the translation of the booklet?
Hare
Can I?
Krishna, Prabhu.
Yashwini Sachimataji, I heard you first. Yeah.
Thank you. I
Hare
can
Krishna.
read a second.
Oh, yeah, sure, no problem. So Yashwini Mataji would read the translation, and then Shukla Mataji can read the purport then. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Thank you.
Translation. Persons who are too addicted to this material world execute their prescribed duties very nicely and with great faith. They daily perform all such prescribed duties with attachment to the future result. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Purport. In this and the following 6 verses, the Srimad Bhagavatam criticizes persons who are too materially attached. It is enjoined in the Vedic scriptures that those who are attached to the enjoyment of material facilities have no scientific and undergo certain ritualistic performances. They have to observe certain rules and regulations in their daily lives to be evolved to the heavenly planets. It is stated in this verse that such persons cannot be liberated at any time. Those who worship demigods with the consciousness that each and every demigod is a separate god cannot be elevated to the spiritual world. What to speak of persons who are simply attached to duties for the upliftment of their material condition. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji's, for that. Could I ask a question? So from your from your thought or from your experience, from your perspective, should we worship demigods or not? What would you say?
Respect.
We should? What would you say to that question?
Can we, after Mataji, we would like to comment on this. Thank you.
Luz, is that you? Did you want to speak, Luz Mataji?
Oh, sorry. Just a sec.
Yeah. Would you? Luz Mataji, I think you might be having another.
I had technical difficulties this end.
Okay. Now it's okay. Thank you.
Worship them, I don't know about, but I mean, is it okay to ask Ganesha to help unblock our journey in our japa or whatever? Worship is a different thing, though, isn't it?
Absolutely. That's very well said, Madhuri. We'll come to that definitely.
That's the end of
Thank you for that. And Kirti Abdullah Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So we think we if we worship demigods, we are it's not we don't want to disrespect, right? It's a respect we are giving. And like Prabhupada always said that Prabhupada never said that. It's like we know that Prabhupada has given us knowledge, all the knowledge that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But like Prabhupada always said that we have to respect the Vaishnavas, and Lord Shiva is the Vaishnavas, greatest Vaishnava. So if we do worship, we don't we can do worship, but we don't need to ask for any material benefits or like this. But we can ask that, please, if there's any obstacle, can you help with this? So we to take us to, because directly we cannot go. We all Prabhupada has given us this knowledge. Whether we go to Srimati Radharani, we cannot go directly. So uh, bec- for myself, I can say, because still very far taking, we said we need that help as well to go along, this way. So we can go, we can give a respect and not ask for anything for our own sense gratification and all these things.
Thank you, Mataji. I think the two of you have really summed it up beautifully. So, thank you so much for that. So, the aspect of demigod worship is very is very unique and very it could be sometimes controversial as well, because you could be, for example, you could be in East India, and there in Durga Ma is is worshipped a lot. And I don't know if you've been to the Durga Puja in Calcutta. I have been once, and it's such an amazing. It's like a sea of humanity all coming together to worship Shakti, which is such an impressive experience by itself. And then in some other parts, you have like Shivji, I mean the Kumbh Mela, etc. So you see that there are lots of these worships to the demigods that are happening. And that's a culture that we have been brought up in. And we keep hearing about Hinduism having, or at least from India, there are so many, like millions of gods, and then there are some important gods. So that's a culture that many of us have like grown up in. And uh, what we don't get told is, where do they derive their energies from? Where do they derive their potency from? So, as an impressionable young boy, if I'm told, let's go to the temple, let's like pray to Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu. Let's pray to Krishna, and then let's pray to like Mahalakshmi. Let's pray to everyone. So you'd have this thing about, yes, I need to worship God, and then I need to worship gods, to get success in life. That can be passing your exams, getting into the university of your choice, finding, getting good grades, etc., etc. So and the story goes on. And then we are brought up in this in this culture where we typically go to temple to ask for things. And the things can be anything. It can be uh, yeah, it can be, I want to get a good job, for example, or I want to get a job in the company of my choice, or whatever. So so that really goes on. And so when we come, and all of that is based on this, what you'd call nescience, or ignorance, because we haven't really understood what is the true constitutional position of these demigods with respect to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we always equate Vishnu as the same as Shiva and Brahma. So although they are great personalities, but then they derive their energies and they're not independent from Krishna, as we heard in this passage. So coming to, should we worship demigods? Yes, we can worship demigods. And Lil Mataji and Kidra Mataji spoke, gave the right ways on how you should be worshipping them. Worshipping them not only for your material benefits, to say that I want a good home, I want a good partner, I want to go, but more around how can you help me unblock my spiritual journey, because I see lots of obstacles in my path. I get angry many times. I'm very anxious. I get very agitated when I don't get something. So could you help me to, navigate through that so that I can come closer to Krishna? So, and that's the direction, and that's the way, when we go, can really help us, and worship demigods in the right way. Yes, Mataji. Yes, Mataji, you had your hand raised.
Could you help me in terms of Vishnu?
Yeah.
Is Vishnu considered a demigod, or
No, Vishnu's not considered to be demigod. He is, he's like a manifestation of Krishna, and and we know that there are three kinds of Vishnu who maintains the universe. So he is not, you would not call him a demigod. He's got, but then he's still part of the material universe. So, so it's a very tricky. It's a little complex to really understand. So he's a manifestation of Krishna, and the way I have learned when I had first come to Krishna consciousness is Vishnu is Krishna in action. So, so Krishna is always in the spiritual world. He's always playful. He doesn't have any. He just rules the universe with with playing the flute and his pastimes, etc. So he doesn't really have to work. Mahavishnu is his form, which which interacts very very directly with the living entities and helps us to go on. So we wouldn't call Mahavishnu a demigod. We would say that he's more of a manifestation or a incarnation of Krishna himself.
so if Vishnu helps us, or we ask Vishnu for help, what sort of things would we ask Vishnu for help?
We could ask him many things. We could ask him to help us to come closer to God realization. So that's something you could. You could also ask him to help us, get liberated from the cycle of birth and death, because it's only Krishna who can do that. Brahman, Shiva do not have that authority or that potency to do it. We can ask him to help us be less anxious in this world, to help us to make some of our sufferings in this world less. So yeah, so we could do all of that. We could also ask him for material things, because when you do any yajna, even to the demigods, you initially make the offering to Lord Vishnu, because he's the ultimate recipient of all your sacrifices and your and everything else. And when you look at sacrifice, it's also important. It doesn't have to be necessarily material sacrifices, but it can also be Sankirtan Yajna, which is chanting. Because when you wake up in the morning, when you join the 5 a.m. club, when you say that I'm going to chant the holy name, that is also a sacrifice that you're doing. And that sacrifice is transcendental, because that sacrifice doesn't require, in that sacrifice, you're not asking for anything in return. You're not asking for any material, benefits. You're asking for his love. You're asking
So
for being at his lotus feet.
just one more little thing then. So sorry everyone. So when I'm doing my japa in the morning, and obviously I do need help. Good grief, do I need help? What's the difference between asking Vishnu and Krishna for help with my japa? I don't ask Krishna, I ask Vishnu, or I don't understand.
You could ask both. You could ask both. So so it's all about whom as we said, Prabhupada said that the even transcendental love, even devotional service is very variegated. So so you can love a certain form of Krishna, and that could be in the form of Bal Gopal, it could be in the form of Krishna, the friend or the cowherd boy. So do not worry so much about which form of Krishna you are asking, as long as um, your intention, your desire is sincere, and yeah, you really want to come close to him. So so it's just the sincerity of your desire that's more important than anything else.
Mm.
And
Okay.
it's not always very easy, because I know you do come in the morning sessions, and chanting has always had this thing about how can I really control my mind, and how can I truly get the best benefits of chanting. So it doesn't come overnight. It takes time. But then, and that's why, what we do is whenever we start chanting, we always make a prayer to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we say, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, because what you're trying to do is to prepare yourself and your mind to just focus on the chanting.
Mm. Okay, thank you very much. Oh.
Thank you very much
Thank
for the
you very
questions.
much.
So
Hare
I'll
Krishna.
move back.
Hare
I'll
Krishna.
move back to the.
Can I just give a little bit of further
Yes, of course,
clarification?
please do.
I think it's important. So Mataji might be getting confused. I mean, from Sastric perspective, there's no difference between Krishna and Vishnu. Vishnu is Krishna. He is an expansion of Krishna. He has certain lesser qualities of then Krishna. Krishna has all of the main qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but there's no difference. So Vishnu, although he creates the material, the universe, and resides within it, he is not material. There's no difference. So I think Mataji might be getting confused. He's not demigod material. So praying to Vishnu can have exactly, because we say Vishnu Bhakti Padadevi Satyavati Namo Namah in the morning to Vrindadevi. Krishna's name is also Vishnu, is an expansion. Of course, Krishna, from our Gaudiya Vaishnava perspective, we want the highest prema ras of Krishna Lok. But there's no differences between Vaikunthas, all the other Vaikunthas, and Vishnu, Garbhadaksha Vishnu, Mahavishnu, or Karnadaksha Vishnu. Each of the Vishnus are an expansion of Krishna, and they're not of material nature. They might be in the material world, but they are not material. I think it's an important distinction to make, so that prayer to Vishnu or Krishna is one and the same.
Thanks, Shailesh Prabhu. Yeah. And even for example, if you want to pray to Lord Ram, you can also do, because then it's Ayodhya, Goloka Vrindavan.
Absolutely.
So,
any
your
expansion,
benedictions are going to be really
it's
the
a matter
same.
of mood and one's mood and distinction. If one has a taste for Lord Ram, then you reach the spiritual Vaikuntha planets of Lord Ram.
Yeah.
So it is still part of the spiritual world, and it's still part of the world from which you don't return.
Yeah.
So it's just like even in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela, Ramananda, right? I can't remember who it was now, was a Ram Bhakt, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked him to do Krishna Bhakti. He tried very hard, and he said, I can't do it. He goes, that's fine. You are Hanuman, that's why you can't. So he goes, your Lord, worshipable Lord is Lord Ram, and that's absolutely fine. No need for you to say Krishna. So it's all about a matter of mood. It's not necessarily one is higher. It's just that us as Gaudiya Vaishnavas have a specific desire to be Srimati Radharani's maidservants and assist her in the service of Krishna in Golok Vrindavan. That's our Gaudiya Vaishnava specific taste and mood that we've been given the highest taste of all. That doesn't mean to say any of the other tastes are any lesser.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you so No. Thank you so much. And the difference is, if you go to Brahma Loka, you do come back, because Brahma Loka is not part of the spiritual world. So and that's why
There's also a nuance on that as well, Prabhu. That's
yeah.
not necessarily the case, because Srila Prabhupada's own previous purports in this very chapter, says Lord Brahma at the end of his life will go to the spiritual world. So I think there's a slight confusion here. The purpose of your reason here, it says Brahma has to come back. Brahma has to come back in this particular life as Lord Brahma because of his attachments to the material world. And it's, of course, not guaranteed that all Brahmas, because there are millions of Brahmas, all Brahmas will go back. Some may not, some may fall. But generally speaking, most Brahmas, and in many instances, Brahma is actually an incarnation of Krishna. So how can it be the incarnation of Krishna is bound to the material world? That can't be the case. So it's not a guaranteed thing that all Brahmas have to come back. Most actually are liberated, and most Brahma lok vasis will also go back because they've achieved perfection. Not all. Some may fall away because it is part of the material world, but it's Prabhupada's very specific and explicit purports previously suggests Brahma goes back at the end of his life because he's perfected his life.
Yeah. And that's why Prabhupada says here that it's only sometimes. He uses the word sometimes a couple of times. And I think that also shows that it's probably just, maybe 0.001%, one would say. So it's, so again, coming to the point that sometimes and some Brahmas can, may fall down, but not everyone. Yeah. So thanks for that. Liz Mataji, does it answer your question?
Yes, it does. So there are a lot of people in India who worship Vishnu, are there?
Yes. Vishnu, Narayana, definitely. Absolutely.
And Vishnu has this great love that that Krishna has.
Yes.
This wonderful feeling of love.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And we'll just do we will try to just complete the last verse as well. So very quickly, we'll move on to, is there something that we wanted to share in this one? So yes. So the next 6 verses, and you're going to see this in the next class as well. So this is really where Lord Kapila criticizes people who are too materially attached. So it's okay for you to aspire to lead a comfortable life, but being too materially attached to if you're not happy with what you have, if you're not content with what you have, then you constantly keep craving for more. And when you get that too materially attached, then it's not good for your spiritual progress. So that's something to really, for devotees to, it's really a warning for us. And they have to observe certain rules and regulations in the daily lives to be elevated to the higher planets. So, and then here again, Prabhupada says that those who worship demigods with the consciousness that each demigod is a separate God cannot be elevated to the spiritual world. But if they worship demigods, like how, like Lil Mataji, you and Kirtan Dole Mataji said, with the intention that can you please unblock my, spiritual, journey so that I can actually go and I can reach, go back to Godhead. When you do that with that consciousness, then clearly, those are, those are worships that are definitely going to give you the benefits that you are looking for. So moving on to lastly to text 17. Rajasa kunta manasaha kamat mano jitendriya pitran yajantyano dinam grihvesha bhiratashayah. So could we have, I think just a translation, so maybe I'll just read this. So such persons, impelled by the mode of passion, are full of anxieties and always aspire for sense gratification due to uncontrolled senses. They worship the forefathers, they are busy, busy day and night, improving the economic condition of their family, social, or national life. So we see a lot of spending time on trying to do things to, from a nation perspective. In fact, entire, like defense budgets have been, built to save, to have national security. And anyone who works in the army, navy, or F force are considered to be very, um, selfless, in terms of, they're, working towards, the security of their nation, or you could be doing some social work, or it could be a family life. So so actually improving the economic conditions is fine, but it's not so much about keeping yourself so busy and day and night that you hardly have time for doing any of your spiritual activities. And here's where the entire aspect of balance comes in. So we have a swadharma, which is fulfilling our duties, and it's okay for us to lead a comfortable life, to aspire for one. However, it should not come at a cost of not doing your Sanatan Dharma, which is doing spiritual activities like chanting, devotional service. And when you do more of the spiritual activities, then you get a higher taste, and then you'll start feeling a sense of contentment with what you already have. And or it can also allow you to stay less more peaceful. So I recall, I'll just very quickly talk of a personal example. So a few years ago, when I was made redundant in my role. It was the first time it was happening in my in my career, and it put a complete stop to what could have been a progression. And at that point of time, I felt extremely miserable, and I absolutely didn't know what to do. And I felt as if I had a lot of low self-esteem. I said, why is this happening to me, etc., etc. So all those anxieties were just playing, and that did not really help me at all. And around that time, it's when I started going to the temple, because I came back from the country, and I started going to the manor. I joined the Bhakti Vriksha, and it didn't happen overnight, but over a period of time, I realized that my priorities are completely in the wrong direction. And I don't really need it's like the birds that you see, because sometimes I have these grains, and just keep it out. And when you see the birds, they come, and they just pick what they need, and then they fly away. And it's only we as human beings who likes to amass things, and we try to build for a future which we don't even know whether it's going to exist or not. So it did make me change a lot of my perspectives towards life. And today, a lot of us living entities, unfortunately, we are driven by the mode of passion. And our yardsticks of success in this material world is driven a lot by the mode of passion, like how wealthy you are, how powerful you are, how strong you are. So all those things play a very, very important role. It's not really about how spiritual you are. So it's really time for us to really reflect on on thinking, what is it that we need to do? So are we really having the right understanding of what success is? Or should we really redefine success? If the world says that for a successful person is the person who's very rich, very famous, very bold, very strong, very powerful, or is it really someone who's just very humble, who's very tolerant, who never hurts anyone, never thinks harm of anyone, and who is always thinking of Krishna? So we can see this contrast, and maybe it's time for us, all of us, to be the change makers, and redefine what success looks like in our lives. So in a nutshell, uh, we uh, we heard a few things today. So just a quick summarization. So we can worship demigods as long as we understand, as long as we worship them in the right context, saying that they are all powerful personalities who have been vested certain potencies by the Lord. And as long as we know that they're not independent of Krishna. And when we get too materialistic, we become blind, we become deluded by our lust, by our greed, and that is not good for our spiritual progress. So and hence it's important for us to consciously make habits more and more spiritual in nature. And when we start doing that, we get a higher taste, and we stop because our desire, because we have a propensity to desire, we have a propensity to love. uh, the question is whether you are loving material things or whether you're loving Krishna. So the choice is really yours, and there are consequences and benefits of both. So that's what Lord Kapila is saying. Let's not get entangled in fruitive activities. Let's perform our prescribed duties, but move our life more towards how we can please Krishna. Any final questions or reflections? So thank you for joining, and Shri Kishori Mataji, can I invite you to do the final to do the Vaishnava prayers?
Thank you, Prabhuji, for the wonderful class. I just wanted to make a short comment, if I may, please.
Of course.
That in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, those who worship the demigods go to the demigods, and those who worship me come unto me. In chapter 7 of the Bhagavad Gita, if I'm not mistaken. So everyone has a choice, really, whether to worship the demigods or not.
Yes, yeah. That's absolutely true. And again, as if you worship the demigods as Vaishnavas, and with the intention that we ultimately are as Shailesh Prabhu mentioned, we are setting our sights on the highest in a spiritual platform. So so that's where we will go. And even if we do the demigods, we will end up being in the heavenly planets. It may not necessarily be a spiritual planet, but it'll at least be a heavenly planet.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much for the beautiful class, Prabhuji, as always. So let's put our hands together. Let's pray very sincerely to their lordships. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. All glories, all glories, all glories to Madan Prabhuji for the beautiful class. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. And all glories to all the devotees who joined the class today. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank
Hare
you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.